Okay, well done, guys. Been a brilliant season so far. Just got the final to go now. We know we can win finals, okay? At this point, every other team out there is scared of us. They don't want to play us in the final, okay? Let's make the most of it and complete another perfect season for Cashmere Technical. And then we can get on the booze. No fried chicken this time though, because it's not as good here in New Zealand. Sorry. But Soul ruined it for you guys.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 107 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both Cashmere Technical and the All Whites, and coming up today gonna wrap up 2034. In this save, first up gonna play our last friendly of the year as we take on Chile away from home, and off the back of that we'll switch to Cashmere Technical mode and we should be playing the grand final of the National League Championship as long as Auckland City don't beat us in our final league game. By about 20 goals we should be in that final. So if you're looking forward to those two games coming up in today's episode, as well as the end of season review and all that stuff, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But yesterday got through the October window with the All Whites. We took on both Peru and Japan. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Since then, we've played a lot of games in the National League Championship with Cashmere Tech. We'll touch on those off the back of this Chile game once we go back into Cashmere Tech mode, but also have played one friendly in this window before taking on Chile. Thankfully picked up a win over Syria, but it was pretty scrappy, especially considering we were the higher of these two teams playing in this game, unlike what's coming up here against Chile. Villarreal made his debut off the bench and thankfully sort of gets the assist, albeit I think it actually ended up being Kelly's as the ball fell to Anto Bradic with only about 20 minutes left, and that was the winning goal in that game. Stats-wise, we were only just the better team, thankfully. We did score that goal through Bradic, quite an unlikely source, and that was how we picked up a 1-0 win over the team. If we have a quick look, down in 47th on the world rankings. So win for us there. That makes it 3 in a row for us now off the back of the FIFA World Cup, and we're about to take on Chile. Squad going into this window pretty similar to what we had in yesterday's episode, apart from the fact that Adam White is back, albeit did have an injury quite late leading in to this window. So Libby did start that first game and will start this one also. I think next year that's when Adam White might get that first team berth off of Libby, because if you missed yesterday, Libby these days getting a bit old. Don't think he'll be around for that next World Cup. Also Victor Sono at right back for Darman, bit tied off the back of that Syrian game, and as well as that Marko Stamanic for Cornelius Biel for exactly the same reasons. But apart from that, we are at full strength for this clash against Chile, a South American team away from home, as we saw yesterday when we took on Peru. That can be quite difficult, and especially these guys with Mauricio Pellegrino in charge, and also because they are up equal 22nd on the world rankings, made their way through to the round of 16 at the World Cup. So got one step further than us, seeing as they beat the USA in the second round before departing to Italy. But this is the highest ranked team we've taken on off the back of the World Cup, higher than Japan, who of course we thrashed in yesterday's episode. And being away from home, this could be quite tricky, but hopefully we can pick up a win, and that might just help us go up the rankings before the end of 2034. And let's get stuck into the action. No bus trip, because lots of stuff coming up off the back of this one. A National League final and end of season review, but hopefully let's end the All White season with a win over Chile. And here are the team sheets for this last friendly with the All Whites in 2034. There are Chile. They are also going with a 4-2 thrown in pretty good form as well, including of course that World Cup. There we are now coming into this one off the back of 3 straight wins, as I mentioned before. Sono and Stamanic, the only changes to our regular starting 11. Hopefully can pick up a decent result here, and hopefully this time around make our way up the rankings.
Yeah.
Albeit it's a disastrous start for us in this game. The one player on a heavy workload that I started, George McDonald, a potential upper body injury. Our captain will get forced from the field. Wato Ulise will come on for him, but that is a big blow because recently he's been in pretty good goal scoring form, especially in that window that we went through yesterday. Scored lots of goals there. He got a hat-trick against Peru and also a couple when we took on Japan. And right off the back of that, Chile do have the ball from, I believe, the restart, right off the back of us making that substitution. Not a good start for us in this game. Hopefully, this won't be like it was against Peru, where they got off to a hot start and we had to fight from behind. But currently, Chile do keep hold of the ball quite well. Herta plays that one to Rosenthal, I think it was, then gets it back. Poor pass there, though, so thankfully Justin Keat can get us back on the attack. For some reason, I think Stamanic there didn't quite reach that pass, and then they play it forward quickly as Sadi puts that one away. Bottom left corner, Alex Paulson, for some reason, dives the wrong way. A few pretty average mistakes from us there in that highlight. Once we did win possession back from this point, I thought here Marko Stamanic could have got that ball. For some reason, just ran away from it a little bit from their Chile. Devastating counter-attacker Sadi. Too much pace for Libby. Not great work there from Alex Paulson in goal. And it's been a pretty dreadful start. We lose George McDonald and concede 1-0 down in less than 5 minutes. And very short off the back of that opening goal, it's a goal kick here to Chile, which is pretty similar to how that first highlight did start. Hopefully this time we can win the ball off them and try and grab a pretty instant equaliser. But Chile pretty smartly make their way into our half. These guys looking very sharp early on, which is not ideal. Asadi plays that one over the top. I think the player who headed that down was offside, but apparently not. Good chance there for Chile. Thankfully, blast that one just over the top right corner. Still 1-0 Chile at the 10-minute mark. And we've gone forward to about halfway through the first half. Now I've just realised that the game yesterday where we started off slowly, that was against Japan. Peru actually started off really hot, but then they came back at us to make it 2-1. But so far in this game, it's been all Chile, at least in terms of the highlight stats-wise. We're actually not doing too bad now in the time that we've had the ball since that last highlight that you did see where Chile had the chance, which they blasted over the bar. Thankfully here, we keep the ball nicely. Victor Sono, nice run there inside the box and picks out Josh Pickering. That's a very good goal there from the Chicago Fire. Man, hopefully he might be the goal-scoring threat for us in this game without George McDonald, because he was in pretty decent form in that Japan game yesterday as well. But Victor Sono got played through nicely there by Marko Stamanic. Somehow that ball goes past Keat and to Pickering, who just sweeps that home, bottom left corner, 1-1, halfway through the first half. And with 10 minutes to go in this first half, there's a throw in here for Chile, and to be fair, they've done pretty much nothing off the back of those opening couple of highlights in this game. Just saw the stats before. 10 shots for us, only 2 for Chile, so a real turnaround off the back of those first couple of highlights. I think that player there is offside, albeit that wasn't the case earlier. Baladeres will beat Paulson, but thankfully this time, indeed he's offside. But Alex Paulson, thankfully, doesn't get punished for that, because that was also a pretty average attempt from him there at the near post and goal. There you can see the stats. We're definitely the better team so far in this game. Thankfully, going to half-time, locked up at 1-1, but we really could be winning this game based on those stats, even though the highlights don't quite reflect that. Chile got off to a hot start there with that goal to Asade off the back of McDonald being forced from the field. Thankfully, Josh Pickering leveled things up for us about halfway through that first half. And having already used the substitution, everyone out there is on an okay enough rating where I don't think we need to make any more here at halftime. We'll get the second half underway, locked up at 1-1. And it hasn't taken long for the first highlight here of the second half, and unfortunately might be in favour again here of Chile. I was hoping we might keep that momentum from off the back of that opening goal to Chile in the first half going, because stats-wise, definitely been the better team so far in this game. Pizarro plays that one forward to Bravo, who takes on the shot from a tight angle. Alex Paulson, he definitely should be saving that one. Went the wrong way for the first one, but to be fair, not too sure if he would have saved that anyway. But that, he should really be saving. That was a tight angle, but for some reason, that one just goes through his hands. He's not having a good day today. Is the man off to Bournemouth in real life? And Chile are back in front 2-1 early in the second half. And it might get worse for us here. It's only a few minutes off the back of that goal to put Chile in front. Now they have a corner, which could be quite dangerous. They take it short. Salnez is on the ball. He'll find the other player who scored the offside goal. It goes through there, and a decent shot. Thankfully, that one hits the woodwork. Paulson nearly makes the save, eventually claims that one on the ground, but this has been a pretty average start to the second half. I think might wake some of the boys up here on average ratings. So Jamie Kelly can come on for Young, and also Libby not doing too well. Let's put Adam White out there for most of the second half and try and turn around this 2-1 deficit. And only a few minutes on from those previous substitutions now, it's Justin Keat down to a red hut. Chris Jones will come on for him. And going forward a few more minutes up to the hour mark now, and I think it's time to make another sub because Simon Kerr today is struggling, so we're going to bring on here Bambi on ice. Lucas Kelly Hield hopefully does a bit better than he did against Peru in yesterday's episode. Also a bit frustrated how we're playing in this game. So we're going to go a bit wider and also distribute to fullbacks with a half hour left, because unfortunately we're still 2-1 behind. Off the back of that, Louis Evans actually goes down to a red hut, so that might be our final sub. Anto Bradic might come on scene as he scored the winning goal in that game against Syria. But Chile, they have the ball here yet again from a highlight, albeit good week that time from Chris Jones up there to Uelese, but then poor pass looking for Josh Pickering, and the goal scorer in the first half, Asadi, was back on the ball, went quite close before with a shot hitting the post. Nice tackle there from White, but unfortunately we can't get hold of the ball. Chile, they do still hold it here. They play that one forward and now get close to inside of our final third. Nice ball forward there to their striker again, but thankfully he was offside and misses the target. And maybe we're not actually going to take off here Louis Evans, because Victor Sono also on a red heart, to be fair. Great rating because he got the assist for that goal that we did score. But I do think the fresh legs might be more useful at right back than in defensive midfield. So Sono can come off for Martin Darman, a regular first team starter. Also, let's chuck the wing backs onto attack, as well as Chris Jones and also Louis Evans onto support. Let's be more expressive as well. Try and take this game to Chile and hopefully grab an equaliser with just under a half hour left. And we're just about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game. Nothing's really happened off the back of those previous changes, so I think now might be the time to go attacking, albeit as I say that, there is a highlight starting, so let's just see what happens from this one, because it might be in our favour, thrown inside of the Chilean half. Thankfully, Marko Stamanic actually keeps hold of that ball, goes back to Tyler Binden, then all the way back to Alex Paulson, but eventually we find some space there with Lucas Callaghill. Stamanic plays it over for Pickering, now White forward to Pickering. Long range effort, which is on target, beats their goalkeeper Gonzalez. Josh Pickering with a big goal long range for us there. He's now on a hat trick, and definitely our goal scoring threat today off the back of losing George McDonald, which could be proving costly because stats wise still being the better team in this game. But Josh Pickering, that is a wonder strike. Thankfully, somewhat catches Gonzalez out, goes close to the top right corner. That is a very good goal for us, probably goal of the season for the All Whites. That makes it 2-2. You can still see the stats there. They are heavily in our favour, definitely playing better than we did than against Syria, but unfortunately, looks like it might only end up being a 2-2 draw for us. To be fair, not too bad against the team, equal 22nd in the world. Hopefully, might be to rise in the rankings off the back of this window, coupled with what happened last window with those wins over Peru, and especially Japan, who somehow are still above us on the world rankings, but unfortunately, couple of sloppy goals we conceded in that game, not helped early by losing George McDonald, but thankfully Josh Pickering carried us a bit in that game, even though we actually played quite well as a whole unit. But unfortunately, it's a 2-2 draw there away at Chile. We'll come back, see what that does for our world rankings before switching to Cashmere Tech mode and hopefully getting stuck in to a National League final. So a little bit of a frustrating result for us there as we draw with Chile in that last friendly of 2034, but as you can see on screen there, thankfully this time around we have gone up the world rankings just a little bit, up to 31st in the world, which I believe is a high so far in the save outside of during a World Cup. I think when I got up there off the back of the group stage of the World Cup, but 31st in the world, that's our ranking come the end of 2034. Hopefully can keep improving that with the All Whites come next year, and of course before the next World Cup in 2038. But now it's time for us to switch over into Cashmere Technical mode, and that starts off with this season's youth intake, which actually came through just before the Chile game, and as you can see, it's actually a half decent one for us for the first time here at Cashmere Technical. I think we're going to sign about 3 of these guys. Shaun Wilson is probably the only one below the top talents that we will sign. He's a deep lying playmaker, 1-star current ability, 3-star potential. That's still pretty decent for what we've been getting coming for our youth intakes here at Cashmere Tech. But finally, a couple of decent top talents here coming for our youth intakes. Finally, some of that investment we've been putting in over the last couple of seasons does look to be paying off. First up, Phil Wilson. He is a right back. To be fair, both these guys are right backs, so maybe Tresonni and Kuru could spend time at the Wellington Phoenix this season while we develop these two guys, but Phil Wilson is probably going to be the backup out of these two because he only has half-star current ability and 3.5 stars potential, but does look half decent as a right back option, especially with some attributes there like determination and teamwork being yellow. So a half decent right back prospect there for us in Phil Wilson. But more excitingly, Harrison Debenham 2-star current ability, 4-star potential, and he looks a bit more first team ready. He could be very useful as an under 20 player for us next season, especially if we don't opt to bring back Tresor Nyanku, which could be an option because off the back of us getting him on loan, Victor Sono got sent to China by the Wellington Phoenix in a loan to buy deal. So the Wellington Phoenix actually could use Nyanku next season, so it could be quite useful having a couple of promising right backs coming through this season's youth intake. But definitely, I think this guy Harrison Debenham is the best one that's come through so far in a youth intake here at Cashmere Tech. But we have played about 2 months worth of games in the league phase of the National League off the back of yesterday's episode with the All Whites, and before then we picked up the Chatham Cup over Auckland City with Cashmere Tech. Now first up off the back of that, a surprising result. This was after the international window. We suffered a defeat. It's so far been our only one this season. We lost 1-0 at Fraser Park to the Phoenix Reserves. This result at the time put them top of the league, but this was a pretty disappointing performance. Just felt like we were a bit rusty off the back of the international window, and it just was one of those days. We had a couple of chances but couldn't put them away. The Wellington Phoenix, they put theirs away through Aaron Allen, but not that many shots on target considering we had more chances, and the Phoenix, they pick up a win in that game. We were pretty average. As you can see, their players did go quite well, so that ruined our chances of the perfect season. But thankfully, off the back of that, got back on track. 5-0 win over Wellington Olympic, 3-0 over Auckland United, 4-0 over Manurewa, albeit Juan Carlos Castro early red card in this game for elbowing a player in the head. He got a 3-match suspension off the back of that, so he is out for this National League Championship Grand Final. And off the back of that, 3-1 win over Napier City Rovers, and we came back from that most recent international break to take on Auckland City in what was a top of the table clash. Thankfully, picked up a 5-1 win, helped out quite a bit by a couple of red cards there to Auckland City. 2 pretty bad tackles from behind early on from Dylan Brown, to be fair. Looked like they might get a 10-man boost there for a bit as Judd Peverley gave them a 1-0 lead, but thankfully got our acting gear off the back of there, especially in the second half, and late on Stipe Ukic with a red card when the game was pretty much done and dusted. So some poor discipline cost Auckland City in that game, as well as the fact that we actually got into gear off the back of that first red card, and that 5-1 win almost meant that they missed out on the final, but because of goal differential, they have won better than Western Suburbs. So Auckland City versus Cashmere Tech yet again in a National League final, and also means Auckland City are yet again in the Champions League for next season. Western Suburbs came quite close to Phoenix Reserves. Their form in the last couple of games off the back of that win over us did go to the Dogs. Just a little bit, couple of draws there with Napier and Wellington, and they did lose to Western Suburbs and Auckland. So the Phoenix Reserves, the one team that's better than us this season, they only managed 4th, and below them with the rest of the teams, to be fair, never really looked like they could threaten to end up in this final. But yet again, Cashmere Tech will take on Auckland City, and of course those red cards from that previous game now, quite important because Stipe Ukic can be a pretty decent threat early against us, as we know, because he is a big old lad, but he's suspended for this final, as is Brown. But to be fair, don't know if he's too great. Stipe Ukic, definitely someone that they will miss in this final. We're also missing Castro, as we mentioned earlier, for that red card that he picked up against Manurewa. So it does mean both first team strikers are out for both teams in this National League final. But I dare say our squad depth here at Cashmere Tech is a bit better. Hopefully that will count here in this final up at Sky Stadium. A quick look at City, pretty similar to how they've been looking the last couple of times. They've got a new hot prospect there in Stefan Dickinson, albeit he doesn't have a great deal of potential. I think our youth intake here this season actually might have been a bit better, but obviously they're going to be missing their captain, which could be quite important for this final. We've bet them quite a few times in a row now, considering we've been playing them the last couple of years in the National League final, in the Chatham Cup, and also in the Champions League. So hopefully we can beat them yet again and make sure that we are the champions of New Zealand going into that 2035 OFC Champions League. Even more payback for the fact that they somehow ended up at that Club World Cup last season. And just a quick check on if anyone else is missing for this game, and just Georgios Spectros still with that broken lower leg. We can get by without him, so no real injury concerns, just that suspension to Juan Carlos Castro, and hopefully we can end the season on a high and lift all 5 trophies on offer yet again as we take on Auckland City in the National League Grand Final. And here are the team sheets for this grand final. First up, Auckland City. They are still going with the 4-2-3-1. They've also got a couple of injuries going into this game, so they are missing quite a few players. That might be why Jamie Fletcher has gone back to right back. In terms of us, first choice, but daring up front and Gilbert on the bench with no Juan Carlos Castro. But hopefully can beat these guys yet again and lift another National League title. And much like that game against Chile, there's an early highlight here, and it is in favour of the opposition, albeit deep inside of their own half. Auckland City try and make their way here onto the attack and outside of their own final third, but good interception that from Khaled and plays it forward to the Italian, and Ciardiello goes back there to Clark, forward to Deering, and now Ciardiello tight angle, but he'll take on Little Cox and beat him. He is so average in goal. They really need to improve on him if they want to win something. Auckland City, that is a brilliant start. This could be a pretty bad day at the office for them. As I mentioned, that last league game we played against them, that could actually prove quite influential in this grand final with those red cards that they did pick up. But that was some pretty poor defensive work. We make the most of it and go 1-0 up early. And we'll have to wait a little while for the next highlight here of this final. About halfway through the first half, Auckland City, another throw, but this time inside of our final third, and they actually keep the ball this time. Araya starts to cut inside before playing that one back there to Forias at centre back. I think that was for Auckland City. Araya goes back down the right-hand side, but does lose out, and that's a poor pass there from the centre-back. Ciardiello might be looking for a double, tries to take on Cox at the near post yet again, but this time the woodwork comes to his rescue. That's not something that he often has to deal with, some hard bits of wood, but that's a good chance for us there. Unfortunately, Ciardiello can't quite get himself onto a hat-trick this early, but there's a throw-in for us shortly off the back of that, albeit deep inside our own half. And again, we find the Italian, who's been pretty good so far in this final. He finds Smith there in some space somehow. That one beats the Mohawk there, and Bauman down that left-hand side picks out there Khaled at the far post. That one also might have clipped the woodwork, a couple of chances, but still 1-0 Cashmere. And just past the half-hour mark here, we've got a chance from set piece. We look there for Teo DeMiro near post. It goes into the mix there. Someone plays it back out to him, and he bangs it past Little Cox in goal. There's our cushion goal there through our young Brazilian centre-back, who, to be fair, is wanted by a few clubs, but so far none of them want to pay the fee that we've told them needs to be triggered for him to leave of £24,000. But I think that was 40 is there for Auckland City, who got in the way of that. Hit it back out to Teo DeMiro, who puts it away at that near post, 2-0, with a few minutes left in this first half. And in fact, off the back of that, there's a corner now for Auckland City. McGoldrick will head that one away. Lorenzo Johnson chases that ball. Kumar plays it back in there for Peverley, and it goes back out there to Fortes. Now, Chavez, a couple of names here I'm not too familiar with, obviously, with all the suspensions and injuries that Auckland City are dealing with at the moment. And Johnson gets us on the attack here off the back of Smith winning it for us on that left-hand side. Now DJ Khaled goes in and out and takes on the shot there from long range. Little old Cox gets beaten in his near post this time. The woodwork, it can't help him like it did a couple of highlights in a row ago. And we now starting to put the foot down here against Auckland City. Those suspensions and those injuries might be starting to tell, and that's a really nice finish that from Khaled. Just does Jenny there before leading that shot off. 3-0 late in the first half. And we've just made our way into 2 minutes of added time here in this grand final. There's a free kick for us here right about on the halfway line. We take it short, and at the moment, just knocking about our centre-backs. One more goal here before half-time will probably put this game to bed. We get it forward to Louis Evans and now start to try and go on the attack. Albeit, as I say that, it goes back to Teo DeMiro, but now Sam Clark should get us on the attack a bit more. He goes out left, that ball beats Bowman and does find Xavier Smith. Floats this one far post. Khaled, this time his header is on target. He's now on a hat-trick in this game, and that is a very good end to this first half. A couple of goals in pretty quick succession. About 10 minutes ago, it was only 1-0, but that makes it 4 right on the stroke of halftime, and really, that should put this one to bed. It's been a very dominant first half, so I don't think any changes are needed here at halftime. Let's keep things simple going into the second half. Look well on our way here to another National League title with a 4-0 lead. And only a couple of minutes into the second half, Xavier Smith picked up a yellow card. We're going to play things safe here. 4-0 in front, don't need to get a red card in this situation. So Jack Cunny, he can come on for the second half of this game. And in fact, right off the back of that, there is a throw-in to Auckland City. They get this one out to the right-hand side where it looks like their Peverley might be on a yellow card. McGoldrick breaks that up. Now Auckland City do get the ball back here. Evans plays that forward to Lee down their left-hand side. That's definitely not the Lee from Wellington Olympic. He's scored some goals late in the National League season. Good chance there, but that one comes off the woodwork. So Auckland City, they also get denied by that post, which is doing a fair bit of work there down that end of the field. And a few minutes later, we go down the other one for a throw-in of our own. Some good short passing here. Ciardiello to Clark, and it goes back out there to Honey. Ciardiello back out there to Honey. Some good triangle passing here from us at Cashmere Tech. Eventually, we look out right near Nkuru in a fair bit of space. Khaled takes on the shot. Big deflection. Don't know if Cox is going to be blamed for that one, but Khaled picks up a hat-trick in this National League final. He's been very good since coming in about halfway through this season. The young Egyptian, and there's a hat-trick in a big game, big deflection, but it still beats Cox there just inside of that near post. 5-0 Auckland City getting taken to the cleaners here at Sky Stadium, and off the back of that goal, there is a highlight to the blue team, but they are really struggling with those suspensions and injuries that they picked up in that league game before this one. To be fair, I don't think they picked up any injuries from that game, but those suspensions could be quite a big deal, especially as we mentioned that one to their captain in Stipe Ukic, but they do have the ball here off the back of a clearance from us. Lorenz gets out there to Bowman. He puts that one into the mix with Josh Lee. Will get up and head that one home into the bottom left corner. So Auckland City, they do grab a goal, but to be fair, even with a half hour left, that does just feel like a consolation one, because we shouldn't be blowing a 4-goal lead here, being Cashmere Technical. Lee given far too much space. Good header into the bottom left corner. That makes it 5-1. And in fact, only a few minutes on from that Lee goal, which Auckland City got back. Now there's a goal kick for them here. Cox pumps that one deep, and they actually keep the ball off the back of that. Jamie Fletcher plays it forward to Peverley, and now they try and shift this one out to the left-hand side. Evans takes some time here on the ball before playing that one back to Ford. Let's see if they can grab one more goal and maybe make things a bit more interesting late on in this one. Albeit Honey there, good win. And actually Ciardiello, nice ball forward to him there. He'll reel it in. Now he plays it across to Janssen. He squeezes it across there for Waleed Khaled. First time finish. Cox can't keep that one out. Too much power on it. But limp old Cox, not quite firm enough in goal there, is the Auckland City goalkeeper. He's now conceded 6. He just hates playing against us. He is pretty average. Is that Englishman, as I've said a few times, bit of a rubbish Jordan Pickford. To be fair, that one also takes a pretty big deflection off of Fortes, but 6-1 with still about 25 minutes left. And just make our way into the last 20 minutes of this game, and Tressel Nkuru in what could be his last game in a Cashmere Tech shoot with that youth intake that we just had does take the throw, and we do keep the ball here, knock it about our defence. It goes back forward there to Clark, and now Ciardiello cuts inside nicely and puts that one away in the bottom right corner. It's almost a rugby score. Auckland City kind of ruined it with that goal that they got back, but Ciardiello is now also on a hat-trick. He's going to try and match the feats there of Waleed Khaled off the back of also grabbing that opener very early in this game, but we're absolutely tearing apart here this Auckland City outfit. 7-1, still about 15 minutes left. And just now into the last 10 minutes of this game, there is a corner here to Auckland City. Lorenz will flick that one into the mixer, and Josh Ford will beat there Jack Honey at the near post. So that's a bit of an average one for us to concede there from set piece, but to be fair, again, just the consolation goal as that now closes the gap to only 5. I don't think they can claw that back in 10 minutes. It's 7-2 here. A bit annoying, they've scored both their shots on tape. We'll take off here Sam Clark on a red heart for Tristan Turner. And also, let's take off the hat-trick hero in Waleed Khaled. Actually, he's scored 4 goals for Nathan Walker, the only player I think at the club who at the moment we're not renewing the contract for next season. He is a club legend, but does look a bit average and almost 30 years old these days. Not too sure if we'll keep him around, so we gave him some minutes there late in that National League Grand Final. Absolute demolition job there of Auckland City. The first half blew them away in the last couple of minutes of that, and we absolutely bashed them 7-2. As I said, those suspensions from that last game we played against them in the league phase could have proven quite costly, and also had some injuries of players like Slaughtermaker and Roses, and players who have scored against us in the past, and we have taken them on, but that is an absolute thrashing, and we're going to lift the National League title yet again at Cashmere Tech off the back of that 7-2 win. So we give out a really good pumping there to Auckland City in the final of that National League, 7-2 there to beat them yet again. Off the back of that, we've gone forward and we've got to the transfer budgets and also a couple of awards for the National League this season. First up, transfer budget, only $72,000 that we have been given the budget for wage. That stays about the same at £35.5 thousand. That does mean not too much spare, probably free transfers yet again for us here at Cashmere Tech in this window, especially because we probably want to chuck some of that transfer budget over into the scouting one as well, so don't expect us to spend too much money on players before we get stuck in to the OFC Champions League. And going down a bit more, the team of the season for the National League just dominated here by Cashmere Tech lads. We've got Hawkins and goalie, entire back four, albeit Tio De Niro is joined by Hughes at centre back, which is a little bit interesting. Khaled and Mina on the wing. CR Diallo didn't quite play enough apparently to make his way in there over Kevin Mina. And Castro up front, the only players not from our team are from Western Suburbs, Cogman and Duval, and also Jallo up top there for Nara Wahia. And while we're here, in case for some reason the end of season review does not pop up, surprisingly, didn't actually get the young player of the season this time around. That went to Aaron Allen from the Phoenix Reserves. Of course, he was the player who scored against us in that lone loss from this season. And Kevin Mina yet again picks up the National League Player of the Year, even though these days he's only second string. And I've been making my way forward in game off the back of those transfer budgets and also the awards that we did get come through for the National League. And now we're up to about Christmas. Need to start looking at some staff contracts for next season. No end of season review, so maybe not going to get one of those this season here at Cashmere Tech. That might be a World Cup year thing. So I think that will do it for today's episode. We get up to 31st in the world with the All Whites off the back of a draw with Chile and also the prior winner over Syria, and fresh Auckland City yet again to lift yet another National League Championship title. If you enjoyed today's episode and also this season here of the New Zealand Builder Nation, then do make sure to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Come back on Monday, because remember, long weekend here in New Zealand, no video tomorrow, but we'll come back at the start of next week, run through the transfers and get stuck in to the OFC Champions League. Might also squeeze in some All Whites friendlies, because as you can see, we've got Australia and Japan coming up in March and April. I do want to show the Australian game, not too sure if we'll show Japan, but hopefully that Australian game might fall at a good time to include it alongside one leg of a tie against the weak team in the OFC Champions League knockouts. We can put the soccer ashes back on the line, seeing as Australia haven't wanted to play us for a little while. They are now below us on the world rankings and equal 34. So in theory, we should actually be the favourites for that game, but we'll come back start of next week and get stuck into 2035 here with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Tech. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.